Prepare for revelations that may profoundly touch your soul. Do not interrupt the viewing, for every word may change your perception of reality. What you are about to hear is not accidental, and it is precisely now that the universe wants to convey an important message to you. You are in for a revelation that may shake you to the core. You will learn something unexpected that can cause pain and touch the most sensitive chords of your soul. The topic will be betrayal, but not just any kind. This is not infidelity from a partner or lover, but betrayal from someone you love and consider part of your inner circle, a very dear friend, someone you trust implicitly. This news will not come to you through gossip or rumors, it will strike suddenly, like a bucket of ice water. At that moment, you may feel betrayed, confused, and wounded, as if a part of your faith has been torn away without warning. No sooner does Scorpio recover from one shock than a new threat emerges on the horizon. Someone with fair skin appears, whose intentions are far from noble. This person does not radiate light and love, but rather hides behind a mask of duplicity, ready at any moment to cast a shadow on Scorpio's life. Their goal is to seize something valuable, to manipulate and exploit for their own benefit, rudely invading personal space. Scorpio should exercise caution and not rush to open doors to this uninvited guest. It is not worth wasting your time, energy, and attention on them, because appearances can be deceiving. This person will only bring confusion, making you doubt your own strengths and the correctness of your chosen path. And as if that weren't enough, an old love emerges from the depths of the past, but you shouldn't indulge in hopes of healing and reunion. This return is a poisonous nostalgia, poisoned memories that prevent you from completing what you started. It is not a second chance, but merely an emotional trap that Scorpio will undoubtedly feel. Intuition, Scorpio's faithful compass, will begin to send alarming signals, warning of danger and reminding you that the past should not be resurrected. However, the heart, acutely sensitive to all experiences, may waver and cause you to doubt the correctness of intuitive premonitions. However, do not despair, dear Scorpios, for the horizon is already illuminated by rays of hope. Favorable times are coming when health will once again be your faithful ally. If you have faced ailments, infections, physical or mental exhaustion, know that the light of healing is near. You will feel your breath becoming even and deep, your gait confident and energetic, and your body obedient and strong. This rebirth will give you the much-needed impetus for future accomplishments, because a change is on the threshold, the scale of which is difficult to overestimate. It will not be easy to cope with this transformation alone. It will require you to pay close attention to family ties, consider the interests of loved ones, and abandon behind-the-scenes intrigues and selfish decisions. Open dialogue, willingness to share and involve others, is the key to success. Otherwise, the consequences can be very painful, and you risk losing much more than you have already lost. Therefore, open your heart, talk to those around you, build bridges instead of erecting walls. The upcoming events, dear Scorpios, will require you to show your best qualities. During this period, you will be especially vulnerable to the blows of fate, falls, and absurd accidents. This is not a reason for fear, but a call for vigilance. You should not rush through life headlong, absent-mindedly, and burdened with an unbearable burden. It is time for a conscious pause, for a careful look at the world around you. Watch where you step, because even a minor mistake can turn into serious pain if you are not connected to the present moment. Despite all the turbulent events, bright periods are coming in the life of Scorpios. These are days of insight when disparate facts come together to form a single picture, and complex situations appear in a clear light. Finally, the answer is found to the agonizing questions that tormented the soul and deprived sleep. When the desired clarity is achieved, decisions are made with unprecedented confidence and strength. Before continuing, Scorpio should record this state in writing, filling each word with their energy and inner power. I am the master of my own destiny, and no one has power over my path. Let these words, written by hand, become a reflection of the depths of the soul, a declaration of independence, and a promise to oneself. After that, you can safely move on, because no less important revelations await you ahead. Scorpio's life is undergoing colossal changes that are felt by every cell of the body, with every breath. Everything around has become more intense, rapid, and deep. At times, it seems that the days stretch endlessly, and sometimes they fly by like water through your fingers. However, every experience, even the most painful and disturbing, has its purpose and is part of a grand design that has not yet been fully revealed. A turning point arrives when choices must be deliberate and well considered, as not everything that seems attractive will be beneficial, and not every path will lead to the desired peace. Scorpio undoubtedly deserves tranquility and harmony. However, achieving this goal will require actions that may involve internal difficulties. First and foremost, it is essential to learn to trust not the opinions of others, but your own feelings, premonitions, and inner voice, as Scorpio's intuition almost never fails. Unfortunately, fear, guilt, or nostalgia sometimes cause you to ignore it, leading to a loss of direction. During this period, the past may persistently remind you of itself. It is important to remember that returned love is not always what it seems at first glance. Memories from childhood and youth, related to family ties, may surface, activating long-forgotten emotions and old grievances. However, this is not a reason for suffering and anxiety. On the contrary, it is a chance to heal once and for all, to free yourself from the burden of the past, to understand the causes of emotional pain, to realize why certain reactions arise, and why the same situations continue to repeat. Scorpio, a moment of truth is coming when fate will provide an opportunity to break the vicious cycle of repeated mistakes, like a burdensome curse that has been haunting you from life to life. However, this will require merciless self-criticism, a willingness to look into the mirror of the soul without embellishment or self-justification. True strength lies not in searching for culprits on the outside, but in taking responsibility for your own path, in knowing how to say a firm enough to everything that no longer resonates with your current self. In the professional arena, Scorpios can expect days filled with bustling activity and increased demands. The work schedule will be timed down to the minute, requiring prompt problem-solving and important decision-making. Such dynamics promise career growth and expanding horizons, but at the same time, it is fraught with overwork. Stress will seek loopholes to penetrate every area of life, and if it is not tamed with wise management, the consequences can be quite dire. Therefore, Scorpio, it is extremely important to learn to take breaks, find time for rest and recovery, and not be afraid to say, "I can't today." It is necessary to listen to your body, which tirelessly sends signals. If you ignore its quiet whisper, it will raise its voice to a scream, demanding immediate attention. In the epicenter of intense activity, when energy is in full swing, special attention should be paid to preserving your own strength. Many people will seek to get closer, attracted by the light emanating from the personality, the creative energy, and the impressive achievements. However, alas, not all intentions are pure. Some may pursue the goal of absorbing energy, exploiting talent, or wanting to bask in the glory of others. Therefore, the choice of close companions should be especially careful, as not everyone deserves a place in your personal world. As for the realm of love, Scorpios can expect a real emotional labyrinth, full of doubts, negative thoughts, and distrust. The past, clouded by lies, betrayal, and feelings of inadequacy, prevents you from unconditionally believing in the sincerity of others. But it is important to remember that such negative experiences do not speak to personal shortcomings, but to the failure of other people to see true value, to their fears and inner darkness. Your personality is worth much more than they have tried to convince you. Past traumas are not a sentence, but a stimulus for further development. If you are alone today, it is not because of a lack of love, but because your soul is clearing space, preparing a place for something greater, for someone who can truly appreciate you, will not be afraid of the depth of your feelings, and will not drown in the ocean of emotions, but will dive in with you. But this will only be possible when you stop settling for less, justifying unworthy behavior, and truly choosing yourself. For Scorpio, a turning point is coming when the past and the future collide in the present. You find yourself at a crossroads, torn by contradictions, between pain and healing, between the burden pulling you down and the strength capable of lifting you to new heights. The outcome of this inner struggle depends entirely on your decision. No one can make the choice for you, no one has the power over your destiny that you yourself possess. Only Scorpio knows what needs to be discarded, what shackles are holding back your progress. Only you hear the call of your own soul, yearning for liberation. Ignoring this call, clinging to what is obsolete, to what has lost its value, you close the doors to new opportunities, to upcoming changes. In truth, a rebellion is brewing deep within the Scorpio's soul, a desire to break free, to cast off the shackles of limitations, to liberate their soul from the oppressive burden. They can no longer suppress this inner voice, pretending that everything is all right when it is far from it. And there is nothing wrong with that, on the contrary, it is the starting point for genuine change. It is the recognition of pain, the awareness of inadequacy, the understanding that something no longer brings satisfaction, that becomes the first step on the path to transformation. The time has come to resolutely abandon meaningless patience, false smiles that conceal an inner storm, and ostentatious strength that hides a desperate desire to cry and find support in embrace. Enough self-deception out of false pity and justifications for what causes harm. It is time to put one's own interests first, ceasing to save the world while drowning in a sea of problems. The Scorpio's soul needs their attention and care more than ever. Remarkably, in the very heart of this complex process, a dormant force awakens. Energy, bound by fear, exhaustion, and habit, reasserts itself, pushing towards action and igniting the inner fire, the true essence and truth of Scorpio. By connecting with this force, Scorpio becomes truly unstoppable. After all, Scorpio is not just a zodiac sign. They are born to pass through darkness and return to life stronger, wiser, and more whole. New horizons open before them, opportunities previously unavailable to their sight, amazing ideas are born, and an irresistible desire arises to try new things, to dare, and to destroy old structures. And they will do it, even if fear paralyzes them, because this time, fear will not be able to stop them. It will go hand in hand with them but will not stop them, knowing that something grandiose awaits them around the corner, something difficult to express in words, but something they feel with their whole being, and that is enough. A time is coming when a person consciously begins to form a circle of acquaintances, surrounding themselves with people who resonate with their true essence. These are no longer the connections that existed in the past, nor those dictated by the expectations of others, but relationships based on acceptance of their current self. Next to these people, there is no need to pretend or make excuses, they accept the person with all their virtues and flaws. In these connections, they find rest and healing and can be themselves without any filters. The family plays a special role during this period, although its support may not manifest itself exactly as expected. Not everything will always be smooth and accompanied by pleasant words, but loved ones will be there. It is important to learn to express your feelings, not to keep silent about what has accumulated. Truths that have long been hidden demand to come out, otherwise, they can lead to undesirable consequences. It is necessary to muster the courage to talk about what is important, doing it with respect and love. Silence is no longer an option, it only exacerbates the situation. A period of shedding masks begins, when everything false and inauthentic collapses. This process can be painful and cause confusion, but it is necessary. It is impossible to build something solid on a false foundation, you cannot grow by continuing to play someone else's role. You need to let go of what no longer corresponds to your true essence. You shouldn't be afraid to show your true self, because the more authenticity, the more harmony with the world. And although at the beginning of this path it may seem that everything around is collapsing and a person is left alone with their experiences, this is not the case. Enormous energy supports them, whether it is the universe, fate, divine power, or intuition. This force feels, guides, and sends signs. The person is not going crazy from their feelings, they are not exaggerating or making things up. They are waking up and returning to themselves. This is a valuable gift, albeit wrapped in crisis, doubt, and sleepless nights. At stake is something more than just well-being, but truth, freedom, and life itself, and it is worth any trials and chaos that may arise along the way. Do not retreat, even if inner voices persistently call for flight and shelter. It is necessary to move forward, through the storm of doubts and fears, because beyond this inner struggle lies something indescribable. There awaits the fullness of being, peace, true love, and a deep connection with oneself. And then, looking back, one can say with confidence, it was worth it. Every step taken on the path of shadows and revelations leads to light. This path does not promise ease, because it is difficulties that temper the spirit and contribute to growth. Pain becomes a catalyst for transformation, a gift, not a punishment, a source of strength. The sooner a person accepts this gift, the sooner they realize that every fall was only preparation for takeoff. It is important to learn to be alone with yourself, to look deep within yourself without fear, to accept your emotions, not running away from them or dulling them. This is the path to spiritual maturity, accessible to few. Every time a choice is made to live through feelings instead of running away from them, a victory is achieved. Even through tears and pain, choosing truth brings you closer to the world you seek. Truth is the only path to finding long-awaited peace. In the very essence of a person, continuous metamorphoses occur. Their life orientations, preferences, and aspirations change. Even physical condition reflects these changes, manifesting as fatigue, irritability, and increased sensitivity. However, this is not a sign of trouble but rather evidence of an internal restructuring process. Subconsciously, a person prepares a platform for more significant and deeper experiences, for something authentic and genuine. And everything that has lost its relevance, everything that has become cramped and insignificant, must be discarded. This is an inevitable law of life, not allowing a return to the past. During this general cleaning of the inner world, farewells are inevitable. Some of them may be associated with emotional pain, others will pass quietly and unnoticed, but all of them are necessary. People whose views and values no longer coincide, places that no longer evoke a sense of belonging, habits that have lost meaning, all this must be let go. And this is for the best because without getting rid of the old, it is impossible to let something new into your life. Don't be afraid to complete cycles. On the contrary, it opens new horizons, releases energy, and gives a sense of freedom. In the realm of personal relationships, a period of confusion and doubt may arise. A person begins to question the expediency of continuing current relationships, the sincerity of their feelings, wondering if it is love or just habit, desire or dependence. However, you should not avoid these questions, because the truth lies in them. And if it turns out that someone no longer fits into the life path, you will have to say goodbye. With pain, but with dignity. Loneliness allows you to look back and realize that all past connections that did not lead to the desired result had their purpose. They were not intended to last forever but served as a lesson, warning against repeating mistakes, against unworthy treatment, against what is no longer acceptable. And based on this experience, a new chapter of life opens, where a person acts as the main character, not a lifeline for others. Significant changes are emerging on the economic horizon, some of which may initially cause a feeling of instability. However, as experts assure, over time these transformations will bring tangible benefits. New opportunities are opening up to increase income, but this will also require Scorpio representatives to take a more careful and organized approach to managing personal finances. It is recommended to exercise caution and selectivity regarding investments, both temporary and monetary, directing resources only to proven and promising projects. The era of losses must remain in the past, the time has come for creation, expansion, and strategic planning. In the whirlwind of these events, Scorpios will experience moments of crystal clarity when their inner voice will sound especially clear, pointing the right path. This powerful connection with intuition will allow them to make decisions without hesitation, act decisively, and speak confidently. It is internal transformation, not external circumstances, that will catalyze positive changes. Now is the time to learn to say a firm no to everything that drains energy, suppresses personality, manipulates, and makes you feel uncomfortable. And conversely, you should open the door to everything that inspires, ignites passion, brings peace, and resonates with your inner self. Scorpios should no longer settle for less or try to fit into frames that are too tight for them. Their destiny is to shine, not to adapt to other people's expectations. Genuine radiance does not need universal approval or applause, its value is in sincerity. When a Scorpio finds authenticity, they become a magnet for opportunities. The right people appear in their life, and the universe begins to favor their endeavors because they are in harmony with themselves, not hiding behind masks and not playing other people's roles. So, let go of the desire to control everything, release fears of loss, get rid of expectations, and just believe. Trust the relentless flow of life, knowing that all events, no matter how chaotic or painful they may seem at first glance, are actually leading you to a more authentic, true place. And it is worth noting that this path, full of trials, is worth every tear shed, every shock experienced, and every minute of silence. You are returning home, to your inner world, to that sacred space where no one has power over you, where the only law is the call of your heart. As a certain stage draws to a close, Scorpio enters not just a conclusion, but a culmination of a cycle, a portal, a threshold, a farewell that does not leave them lost, but rather marks a rebirth. After all the trials endured, after facing every shadow, after every truth spoken and after every silence broken, something within you has transformed. You feel it, sense it with every cell of your being, your breathing has become different. You are no longer who you were before, and you cannot return to your former state. Today, your view of the world has become new, more honest, deeper, and bolder, because your soul has realized that it is impossible to continue carrying a burden that does not belong to you, that you cannot remain silent for fear of causing inconvenience to others, and that you should not embrace what does not reciprocate. Scorpio has made a choice in favor of themselves, and this turn of events fundamentally changes their existence. Prospects full of light and hope are looming on the horizon. These are not just words of comfort, but a tangible reality, like a cloudless sky after a thunderstorm. Scorpio has gone through the crucible of purification, ruthlessly incinerating everything obsolete and unnecessary, allowing what has lost its vitality to fade into oblivion. This path was full of pain and mental anguish, the wounds are still bleeding, but Scorpio realizes the necessity of these transformations. It was a crucial moment when action was needed without delay. Looking into the past, they will not feel hatred for what they have experienced. On the contrary, gratitude will arise in their heart, because every wound has become evidence of their strength, every fall has served as a reminder of their inner core, and every betrayal has returned them to themselves. It is from this starting point that Scorpio will begin to create a new life, more in line with their true essence, more harmonious and brighter. They will no longer have to justify themselves, hide, or beg for love. The love that comes into their life will be genuine and sincere. Only those who share their values and views will be nearby. The heart will no longer need armor to feel safe and in harmony. Of course, life's trials will not be long in coming. This is not a fictional story, but a harsh reality. However, the representative of the sign of Scorpio will no longer meet them in the same way. They are no longer that outdated version of themselves. Now they have an expanded arsenal of tools, an acute awareness of what is happening, a measured pace, and, most importantly, crystal clarity of mind. Scorpio is no longer tormented by doubts about their essence. They no longer need approval from the outside, because they have already looked into the mirror of their soul, supported themselves in the most difficult times, reforged themselves with their own efforts, and this is what makes them almost invincible. They are not alone, and never have been. Even when the world around turned into a cold echo, when it seemed that no one was left nearby, when they were abandoned to their fate in the midst of raging elements, they themselves always remained. There was always that inner strength that resisted, that continued to dream and hope. And today this part of the personality rises to its full height and declares, "I did it." Yes, Scorpio has indeed achieved this. And what awaits them ahead is a completely new chapter, the best of all, written with new ink. Therefore, now they can safely move forward and live without fear, without limitations, and without excuses. They must open their heart to new opportunities and experiences. Take heart, open your eyes to the world, for it craves your appearance. There are roads intended exclusively for your feet, and hearts that crave the truth emanating from your lips. Perhaps somewhere plans are ripening, bearing the imprint of your essence, even if you do not yet realize it. Your soul carries a purpose, and the time for hiding in the shadows has passed. Oh, Scorpio, make this transformation for yourself, in the name of everything you have experienced, every tear shed in the past, and every wound you have healed. Do it for the inner child who was once convinced of their insignificance. Do it for the future I, who will look at you with pride, uttering words of gratitude for your resilience and refusal to surrender. Do it for the dreams that flutter in your chest, waiting for your gaze, your hearing, your gift of life. And before completing this appeal, let me ask you only one question that requires deep reflection. Do not rush to answer. Feel it, consider it, let it penetrate your essence. Which version of yourself are you willing to bury in order to give life to a new I? What will it really become? This question deserves close attention, because it contains the key, it contains the possibility of a new start. And if this appeal resonated in his heart, if he felt these words penetrate the very depths of his soul, if he realizes that the events to come are worthy of his undivided devotion, then he should not back down without realizing his potential. Their paths will cross again in the future, but until then, he must remember his essence. He is the flame, he is the truth, he is transformation. And this is only the starting point of his journey.